Go before the minutes and
I'm
everything?
on board.
Okay, sure, absolutely.
Because you are coming up.
Yeah, of
I
course.
appreciate it.
Mhm.
So are you.
Oh,
Okay.
We need all the help we can get. Everybody, two people.
so we'll just do
left.
roll call and then seat Cindy. and-
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that would be good.
All right, welcome to the Town of Water River Valley Conservation Commission. My name is Paul Ricardo. I'm the chair of the commission. Today is Thursday, May 22nd. It's 1 p.m. and we're going to just call the meeting to order. So the first thing we'll do is take roll call. We'll start with John.
John Racine, ex officio.
Garrett Levy, member.
Charles Hastings, member.
Kelly Cannon, alternate.
Jenny Lucas, member.
Cindy Picos, alternate.
Cliff Lubitz, alternate.
Steph Lebec, alternate.
Okay, thank you. So we are missing Rebecca Hastings today. So we will seat Cindy Picos in her place as the voting member today.
Thank you.
Okay, good. All right, we're gonna move right into item 3, which is the town update with Mark Dakota. So
Thank
Mark,
you. Chairman, wastewater treatment plant facility, we had an update meeting. We have a rough site plan from the engineers. Most of the new facility will be across Clean Water Lane from the transfer station in that area, between Triple I Road and the existing plant. We reviewed some very preliminary building locations and schematics of the treatment process that we're going to be using. The review was between the town engineers and the staff members from the wastewater treatment plant. We provided some feedback to them, to the engineers on their preliminary designs, and commented on their proposed building locations and things like that, and the way they had the site laid out. They're going back, they're gonna make revisions. This will lead up to a final report with more definitive building locations and treatment process information that is due to us by the middle of August. So we're running approximately 3 to 4 weeks behind schedule on the engineering plans, but you know, we're still moving forward, and they're doing a good job of putting the information together. Very happy with the preliminary plans that we've received. But it is very early in the process. You know, the buildings are basically just placeholders for what will actually be there. We're trying to get an idea of the layout of the site and the general footprint of each building and that sort of thing. It is important to note that I said each building,
Yes.
because now it's a campus rather than a single building. And we're talking probably 6 structures,
That's what I said.
6 or 7 structures to replace our current plant. But remember, and I think this is important, you guys can help us in our education, we are replacing not just the building, we're replacing the lagoons,
Mhm.
the sludge lagoon, the drying beds, and everything up there on the hill is all being now reduced to these buildings, right?
Okay.
So we're talking about acres and acres of land that are gonna be compressed into the area right across from the transfer station. So,
Question, I saw the select board meeting and I saw multiple buildings that you
Yeah.
had said in the
Yeah.
campus.
Mhm.
All of those buildings have a supportive, what am I trying to say? To work with the main part of the sewer treatment program?
they're all part of the treatment process.
They are.
From the headworks that takes the raw material into the campus. You know, and they're each a stage of the
Mhm.
treatment process.
Okay.
Yeah.
The next question I have, the land that is no longer being used for the present day.
Lagoons,
If that's owned by the town,
yes.
okay, that was
All
my other
town-owned
question,
land.
okay.
So, we're, by the time we get to mid-August, we'll have updated timeline for the project, we'll have updated cost estimates. And, then the actual layout of the plan.
Okay.
So we are working forward, moving forward on the plans. We've completed the borings. I don't know if you guys were aware of the boring project that we did.
Yeah.
Not that it's boring, but drilling into the ground.
Oh, right.
So, we actually did that, I think, a lot better than was initially conceived. We didn't have to cut as many trees. They got all the information, all the data from the drilling that they needed. So that was very positive. Good results. Looks like, being able to build the buildings on that site will be viable, from what we see right now.
And that was on the basis of whether there's adequate foundation or.
Adequate space. We actually
No,
drilled to
the
40
borings.
feet down to
Yeah.
make sure that we had enough space.
Okay.
All of the buildings that we're looking at are generally 30 feet tall, but half of them are underground.
Right.
So we'll have 2-story buildings, but only 1-story
I see.
shown.
And one other, I guess, request. Each time you give us a report on this, I feel obliged to try to visualize what's going on. Now that there's, plans are coming together for an actual campus of buildings.
Yeah.
Along with the vacating of the current space. I think it would be helpful if the commission could have, when available, some kind of at least a tentative map
Yeah.
showing how this is all laid out.
Yes,
Okay.
the mid-August report will include a site plan. And it will actually include some conceptual elevations of buildings and things like that. So we will have that information in the mid-August.
And that could then be sent to our
It-
chair.
It's,
and
I'll brief you, I'll bring it in for an update and show that all.
You could distribute it.
Mark, can I ask one more question? I overheard you say something in the select board meeting about the borings at the top of the mountain. Is
Yeah.
that still going forward?
It is.
It is.
We're doing a comparison between a line up to the resort and or a septic system up there.
Well, not a-
So the borings that we're looking at would be to determine whether or not a septic system is viable.
Okay.
So no decisions yet.
No decisions. No,
Okay.
we need the subsurface information. The engineers are working on the design work, but they need subsurface.
We're hoping for a septic
Yeah, we are.
and not the extra $10 million cost to the town.
Yeah. We would like the septic to
Mhm.
be the viable option, but there are a lot of hurdles. Not just with the design, but also Forest
Forest
Service
Service.
regulations
Right.
and all of that.
Oh, speaking of, I saw also that there's a meeting of the Forest Service down in Campton
Yeah.
for the resort.
June 5th.
Yep, and there's also one here in town?
They are coming into the Pemmy District Ranger. And her staff are coming into the select board meeting on June 4th, 3 PM here. And she will be giving the select board an update.
Mhm.
On June 4th during their regular meeting on the notice of intent on the gondola project, which has been published.
Is this what was distributed by
Yes.
email to everybody?
Right. Isn't there another meeting at exit 27?
The third.
Yeah, the third.
Yeah, that's,
The
Third?
third is
Yeah.
down at the Forest Service
Yeah.
headquarters in
Right.
Campton.
Third.
The
Is that-
fourth
Fourth is here.
Is here.
Mark,
And
would that
then-
be a redundant meeting at the Forest Service in here?
Well,
Do you know?
yes, well, it's to take public input. All of these
Mhm.
meetings are
Okay.
designed to take public input. So if you
Okay.
can't make the third,
Gotcha.
come here to the fourth.
Okay.
Can't make the fourth, they're gonna have a Zoom, an online meeting. I don't know the specific time or anything, but they should, have a notice on the Forest Service website, the White Mountain National Forest website, that gives you the time and Zoom link info, but that's supposed to be scheduled for the 5th, for the afternoon or evening of the 5th. So 3 different times.
Okay.
The public input period on this notice of intent, anybody can submit any comments to the Forest Service. That's what they're looking for. That was a 30-day period from the 15th, so June 15th. You have until to submit, and I think there's a place online that you can
Mhm.
submit comments.
Mark, as far as the time, it's 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. On June 3rd
Okay,
at the headquarters, and then on June 5th, it's 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. On Teams,
Teams.
and then the select board is the 4th
Yeah.
at the set time.
Hazard mitigation process, we're continuing on with we do a review of our hazard mitigation plan every 5 years for the town. This is a staff and public input period that we look at the town overall, and we look at any of the hazards, man-made, natural, whatever they are. We identify a list, we have a list of hazards that we need to deal with, whether it's weather related or flooding or, just forest fires, all sorts of different hazards, situations. And we go through with staff and we identify mitigation steps that we can take.
Okay.
That's an ongoing process that we're going through that 5-year review currently. And we're having monthly meetings. I think we have 2 left. And then there'll be a report that's generated at the conclusion of these reviews. That, we'll present it to the board and have it available for public information. Brush chipping versus burning. With the wastewater treatment plant, chipping is not an option right now. Okay, we will be able, when the new plant is built, we'll be able to reclaim the area that's being used for the 3 lagoons right now. However, in order to chip versus the burning that we do, you have to have hard stand areas. It needs to be either concrete or paved areas with drainage that's been approved by DES and all of that. We do not have any space down here where we could locate the chipper, because you need the hard stand for the chipper and you need the hard stand for the chips once you produce them. And there are state regulations about, the chip area has to be enclosed on 3 sides. You need to show where the drainage goes, and, there's a whole bunch of regulations. So we're going to look at chipping as an option, but it's going to be in the future. It's not until we get the new plant built, or at least started. We're not gonna have an area where we're gonna be able to do that chipping, so.
Are there any regulations around burning from DHS or anyone about like smoke mitigation or ash? I live like
Yeah.
basically next door
Yeah.
and it's,
I understand, we try to do it at times when the wind's not headed into town. We try to do it in more damp conditions so that, we obviously reduce fire risk. And I know that it's not it's a pain in the butt.
Is there
Okay, I
like,
get it.
is there like, can there be like some kind of notice so people who are downwind, cause I've never, like, of every time there's a burn, it's never going out of town, it's
Yeah.
always coming
Yeah,
into town.
yeah.
And I would like to know to like shut up my windows, like,
Sure, we can look to do that.
I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
I have another question about the hazard mitigation process, if I may. I noticed that the water at the Race Center, the hose bib is on again and it's leaking profusely.
Okay,
It was turned off last year and a water truck was brought in. There was plans to fix that.
mhm.
Clearly hasn't been fixed and is leaking again. So I'm just wondering if that's on their radar and if we're just gonna keep wasting water or what's the plan there?
I'll look at that.
Okay.
Good catch.
Yeah, good
I
catches.
didn't realize that's why that water tank was brought in last year.
Is it
Yeah.
just the fixture, the faucet? or
No.
what's the-
It's, I'm pretty sure it's underground and I think it's the nature of, it has one of those handles of hose bib and it's really high pressure. And what happens in the gardens there is there's like 100+ feet of hose and then a sprayer on the end. So
Yeah.
somebody lifts up the water thing. All that pressure builds up, the hoses keep rushing, the handle keeps rushing, and now I think it's gone underground because it's
Yeah.
not a functioning thing for the garden. I've
They-
brought this to the attention for several years now.
Oh, boy.
I'll talk to them.
The brush that's been placed along the sides of the road and at different locations, is that something that's going to be picked up by the town, or is that just,
The material that's gonna be picked up by the town has been picked up.
Okay.
We have talked to the property owners
okay,
that have the material that is still there. Some of it, it's private property, they cut the trees themselves. There's no regulatory thing about
Okay.
that, but we're gonna get everything out of the right of way if a private property owner has left.
With, I don't know if you're referring to the 3 piles on Boulder Path Road, that,
but also the one
Yeah.
as you go into Forest Rim,
Mhm.
oh,
Yeah,
okay.
There's some there.
yeah,
I
Snows
raked up the
Mountain.
piles on Boulder Path and I reached out to Megan, I said,
Yeah.
it's mostly asphalt, like there was so much asphalt that was.
We're gonna work
She
on
said
the-
she was gonna pick them
Yes.
up,
they were all, yeah. and
yeah,
they-
but they haven't been picked up
No,
yet, but
no.
I said I can do it, but I just didn't know where to bring them here,
Well,
cause
they-
We have,
But-
we're renting an excavator now, and that is one of the cleanup items.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was talking about
There's
the other
also
one,
the area at the base of Cascade Ridge.
yeah,
We're gonna be cleaning up,
okay.
that's asphalt pieces.
Right, there were some piles on Snows Mountain Road. And unfortunately, the lane
Yeah.
marker had to skip that.
The lane marker, anything that got skipped or any dirt or sticks or
Mhm.
brush piles that got painted over. The lining company is coming back. We'll clean up those areas, the areas specifically on Snows Mountain Road.
Mhm.
The lining company actually owes us one more trip into town.
Osceola Road.
Osceola Road, they missed the
No, we
center
noticed
line,
that.
they missed the center line in Osceola Road, so we will get,
They're coming back.
they
okay.
are coming back. Sometime between now and before the 4th of July. It'll all be weather dependent, as it always is. Yeah. And ongoing projects, you're gonna see drainage improvements going on Noon Peak Road.
it's on the
And
margins.
Packard's Road. We'll be replacing culverts and fixing drainage. And then you'll see paving, done at Golden Eagle. Parking lots, Packard's Road and, Noon Peak Road. The pedestrian path was removed, the pavement was removed yesterday between the Golden Eagle and Town Square. And weather allowing next week, the paver will be in to put the path back. And the paving will go all the way from the lodge to the bridge. So what wasn't paved before
Yeah,
will be.
okay,
What's the reason for that?
More of safety and maintenance, especially in the winter.
Yeah.
the ice buildup
Yeah.
and the thing back, yeah.
And we, we talked to the resort, no impact on the trails as far as maintenance of cross-country skiing or anything like that.
Is it just gonna be the width of a sidewalk?
It'll be, yes, either 4 or 5 feet wide, I don't remember what, but it's gonna be a sidewalk.
Mark, I have a couple
Yeah.
questions. All right. On one of our walks, we noticed that the drain at Golden Heights Road,
Mhm. Golden Heights.
Golden
Yes.
Heights,
Still just.
it's, yeah, it hasn't been cleared.
Okay. Well,
It's a big drain.
Yeah,
Needs a little fence around it.
It needs something, it needs help. Then there's a drain at the
So
golf
it's-
course.
I'll keep popping.
Craig is working on now.
I believe so. It's
So
full.
you're aware of the sand
yes,
situation, I'm
we're
sure.
cleaning that up. We're working with Craig.
Yeah,
to
who's gonna
clean up.
clean the sand out
We're,
of the,
it'll be cleaned
all
up.
right.
He's been required to clean that up.
Mhm.
And on the walkway between Golden Eagle and the bridge.
Yeah.
I saw that yesterday, I looked at it. Hopefully that won't all wash out today and tomorrow.
Well,
But-
it will, we'll put it back.
But in any case, is the plan then to basically replace it with the same route and the same grade?
No, the grade will be worked. We will work on the
Okay.
grade to hopefully lessen it a
Oh,
little
good.
bit.
Good.
Good.
Beautiful.
But Megan will work with the contractor to
That's
do
good.
that.
And what is the plan for at least a handrail on one side?
We're talking to the Golden Eagle Lodge about that.
Well,
Probably, I don't know what it will be yet.
okay. The handrail is more important beyond the Golden Eagle Lodge property, of course, because that's
We
where.
wanna see what the grade change will be
That would be
versus
good,
what
yeah.
was there before.
Well, we need a handrail there and we needed to go down farther than it did before. Because the big danger was when you got past the handrail,
Mhm.
good luck.
Yeah.
So I hope that they will
I-
take it down as far as they can before it gets in the route of the ski path.
And that's all the.
Everybody's
stuff I
looking.
have.
All the dues.
Anybody have any questions for Mark?
Not the country.
Everything's
main
country up there.
Yeah, Norway, Sweden, Denmark.
You
I'll
got
drive
it,
through
they're all
of them.
there.
I'll drive through.
I have one random question.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were talking yesterday at the select board meeting about the resort needing access to
Yes.
the river and how it's gonna be a secure facility and you're gonna work out the details, but the pumping station that's down on the river, that's for the resort?
Yes.
That's not anything to do with the wastewater treatment
That's
plant now?
Oh.
I never knew that.
So
That pumps the
the-
water. out
Yeah, I
there.
figured, when I heard this yesterday, I said,
It's
huh,
a
okay,
snowmaking,
okay,
it's a snowmaking pump house.
Okay.
very good,
Yeah, and our outfall for the treatment plant is just down.
just
river
downriver. Mhm.
Of that,
Yeah.
but yeah, that big concrete box there in
Mhm.
the building.
Yeah.
That is snowmaking.
And a related question, which I read maybe in in the resort's materials about their expansion, they use treated wastewater for their snowmaking? Is that a thing?
No.
That's in there somewhere.
Um,
I read that. I didn't make that up. I didn't have
They
that
pull
dream.
it from the.
no.
Okay, I just wanted to find out about that.
No,
Okay.
the outfall, whether or not the outfall gets captured in any way by
No, This is a
the,
specific,
by the concrete, maybe I'll have to check with Dylan.
okay,
But no, we looked into the use of effluent
okay, maybe that's what it
for
was.
snowmaking before.
Okay,
But the regulations would have been two separate pipes all the way up to the resort because it cannot be mixed.
mhm.
Or if it is mixed, then they have to mark all of their trails as being snowmaking by effluent. So their entire, yeah, they have, there's regulations about different colored pipes,
Mhm.
there's you have to paint everything purple because it's effluent
Silly.
water,
Oh my
Okay.
God.
not regular
No.
water. It's a ridiculous.
Yeah, that makes
And
sense.
there have to be warning signs on every ski trail that effluent is used.
Oh my God.
I just want to kudos to Dylan and
Yeah.
his crew.
Yes.
The effluent is cleaner than the
Yeah.
water.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
So
He
Good
talked
for
about
I
Dylan.
don't know why
He's done a
they
good job.
do that, but that's the regulation. So
Yeah.
the ski area said, no, we're not gonna use effluent. And that's why our outfall is down below there.
I could make a crummy
Uh-huh.
comment.
Anything else? Okay.
Thank
All
you.
right, thanks,
Have a
Mark.
great long weekend.
You
Have
too.
fun going to Norway.
Oh, are you leaving, really?
Right.
No, not the country.
No,
Town in Maine.
no,
Oh.
me. Up there, everything is Sweden,
Yeah,
there, it's all that, yeah,
yeah, I wonder where those people came from.
from those areas.
Oh.
Wait, did we need Mark's approval for this additional alternates?
We can ask him if he comes back.
His approval, you,
Oh,
you're
right,
the boss.
right.
We'll talk about it. It's
We'll
not,
talk.
not clear that we need it.
Okay. All right, so let's move back to item 2, which is to review the minutes, or I'm sorry, approve the minutes from April 24th meeting. Then there were a couple comments. I think they were already addressed.
Yep, and then the late catch by Becca, I incorporated that in there
Super.
too, just grammatical.
I'll let her know. She'll be thrilled.
Yeah. I'll give her $1, she can find it again.
Other than that, yeah,
Put down the minutes.
yeah, I thought the minutes looked great. So
Yeah.
if there's no other issues, then anybody will
I
go ahead
move
and,
to approve.
all right. Motion to approve the minutes by Irit. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
All right, second by John. All, any discussion? No, all right, we'll move to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's all good. All right, so let's move on to item 4, the planning board update, and we're gonna go to John for that.
Oh, that's by me.
Yes,
There you go. It's in writing.
So, good news, we had a meeting this morning.
A long meeting this morning.
Yeah, it was good.
Special
Um,
meeting.
So, the meeting was specially designed for the master plan. And one section, it was section 8, chapter 8. But a lot of that information, had a lot to do with enforcement and, the different boards that are responsible for those. And believe it or not, there's a lot of conservation
Yes,
boards that are responsible for enforcement and or what to do with certain things. What I'd like to propose, rather than being so long-winded, is I have that master plan right here. And I would like to see if maybe we couldn't bring that onto the agenda for next meeting. But that being said, I would like to maybe pass this on to somebody who is really good at digging deep
Jenny.
and taking a look at this. And then we can all be.
Giving
take a-
is there an
Very
electronic
eyeball.
version of it by any chance?
There is,
That we could distribute
There
to
is.
amongst the commission?
yes, there is,
For review until the, yeah,
yeah.
and put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
What do we do?
So this is what it looks like. I kind of photocopied, give one page out to
Yeah,
somebody else.
I remember that, yeah.
So this is just bullets to look at something real quick like dark skies.
Mhm.
What are we doing with it? Who's responsible? Planning board, conservation, the town manager. And it clearly indicates who is going after this stuff.
Right.
You know, but we could have, I spoke with Alyssa this morning, she would make out a couple of hard copies if we want it, but it is all online.
I'd rather have I'm a hard copy
I
person,
have a hard copy.
because I can mark it up and do what I want.
Yeah, that's, I like the
I,
touchy feely.
even
thing
a
too.
book, I like a
Yeah.
hard book.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And the section that we were really involved in this morning was section 8. Let me see if I can get it here. Somebody. We even talked about fluoride in the water, how all the towns
Ooh,
put
hot
fluoride.
topic these days.
Well, there's no fluoride in this water that we put in it, but naturally there is fluoride in water.
Yeah.
So we're top chain. We have like the best water ever.
We need to find ways to remove that natural
Yes.
fluoride.
They look, without getting into the controversy. Yeah.
So chapter 8 is an action plan.
Yeah.
It's what we should do action for a lot of different things in town. That's the chapter I would like to see if maybe we could all take a look at.
Mhm.
It's almost impossible to do it in one meeting,
Mhm.
so maybe we can take little bits of it.
Okay, so I think the best thing to do is probably distribute the document between now and the next.
Yeah.
The next
Mhm.
week probably,
Yeah,
and get everything out, and then
Mhm.
everyone can review it. We can make hard copies if we need to, or
Yeah.
we can
So
review
what I'll-
electronically, especially chapter, with special attention to chapter 8.
yeah. If it's okay with Mr. Chair.
That's perfect.
Why don't you and I team up and get the electronic part of it, and we'll email that connection or that link out to everybody.
That's
So you
perfect.
can go after it if you want.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
And then we can have a discussion item on the agenda for next
Yeah.
time
That'd be good.
on this.
Because the planning board also, that's gonna be one of our agenda items next time. To go over a lot of this stuff,
Mhm.
what we should do with it. And,
John, when is your next meeting? Do you
uh,
know?
Yeah, it's June. The second Thursday in June. Is that the 8th? I forget.
Second Thursday in June, let's.
It is Thursday. I have the 12th.
The second Thursday
Yeah.
is the
It's
12th.
the
Okay.
12th.
12th, yeah.
Yeah, that's when it is.
All right. I want to come in and talk to them about CIP.
Yes, we need you. Because that's one of the things that's actually in here
Yeah,
in the action plan.
well, I was on it for so long. I think there needs to be some changes made.
Yep.
So,
We also have in the action plan for dark skies.
Really?
I'm looking at your bottle and I see dark side, but it looks like dark sky. So really important things like that, as Kelly knows. Right,
Yeah.
Kelly, we did talk about,
Yeah.
Live in a urban setting next to the Valley Inn.
yeah,
So,
I know.
one, couple of things. One, for the record,
Yeah.
my previous comment about removing natural fluoride was facetious. I don't believe we should do that. Just to make that clear. And secondly, I'm actually still not clear what for our next meeting, what we're looking for, we're preparing for. There are many places where it specifies that the responsible party is Conservation
Mhm.
Commission
Mhm.
for this or that. Should we be thinking about how we wish to be doing that more responsibly? I'm not quite sure what our task would be.
maybe the other input with that would be to work in coordination with another party, not just the Conservation Commission, but, have somebody like another, what am I trying to say, guys? Help me out.
Another member of another commission?
Yeah, work with the
Yeah.
Conservation Commission to work on what they feel as
Right.
if would be good.
so it's actually already in here. As the parties that should be involved.
Yeah, I
So-
saw those on there.
So for one, like the Conservation Commission is like if it's in dark print, they're like the number one
Mhm.
ones involved. The next party that's involved for this particular thing I'm looking at, it's nothing, but it's a select board that should be involved in, or the planning board. But you would be number one, and then if there's another thing about dark skies going on, the planning board is the first
Mhm.
Right.
responsible.
I'm sorry, what is dark sky?
So,
Lighting in the town,
Restrictions on lighting.
Lighting.
yeah, light pollution and that
Okay,
kind of thing.
thank you.
Jenny,
Is the planning board going through this, trying to figure out, because this is an action plan? Are they going through it to figure out what has been done and what still needs work? Is that
Yes.
the purpose of this?
yes.
And, okay,
One of the things, I'm gonna give you a great example that's a hot item right now, is the golf course stone wall,
oh, yes,
okay? There's a controversy in our
language.
fine language that defines a wall a structure and a fence.
Mhm.
We gotta figure out, put it in, put the language in there where a wall and a fence, are they the same thing? Should they, you know, in the height of that wall or fence? So we've got to really focus on that particular thing. And one of the reasons why we wanted to get onto the action plan also is this master plan is fairly new. We spent 2.5 years on
Yeah.
this. You were a little bit part of it. And it just was awful. It was just awful. I mean, so many things we had to go through and
Remember doing
talk
that,
about
sure.
it. And anyways, it was just a tough thing, but we want to go over it so it doesn't just collect dust. An
So-
action plan, as we all know,
If
What's
I
up
may,
here?
There's in 8.1, number 5.
Yeah.
Actually discusses exactly what you're talking about. It says to actively use the master plan as a guide to town activities and decision-making. Hold a meeting of municipal boards annually to celebrate progress and prioritize next steps.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
that's what you're trying to do here.
mhm.
yeah, and as you can see, it's the planning board, that's the top dog on that one.
Yeah.
And then the select board, town manager, and conservation commission
Mhm,
should all be involved.
mhm.
So I wanted to make you all aware of this and maybe
That's good.
make you part of this so that when there is an action plan to come up with, we'll be involved in that as well. This is what this is for. We
Mhm.
designed that for who's responsible. Even has CIP information in there
Yeah.
too, as you saw.
Yep.
But, and it's so new to us as a commission, we should just at least take a look at it. Talk about it for several more meetings to come. Keep it a steady thing on the agenda and maybe pick little pieces out of it, just so we can be more familiar with it,
Mhm.
Yep.
you know? Because I've been involved in it for 3 years now, and I know a little bit about it, but not all of it. It's just so much information, so. If we can just get our toes into it a little bit. But that's what we talked about this morning.
Is it being updated right now? Is that the plan or is it?
No, this is the updated
Okay,
master plan.
Every 10 years,
so,
every 10 years,
Yeah,
right?
and this was 2022.
okay,
Yeah.
Just going through the action plan. to
Yeah.
See what's happening.
As you know, a lot of action, a lot of stuff that happens in the valley, there's no action on. I'm like, what's going on here? So we can be more of,
Mhm, mhm.
kind of push this stuff
Correct.
along to take
Mhm.
action for it.
Yeah.
Okay?
sounds good, John.
Okay.
Any other topics on the, Planning
Today
board?
it was just a special meeting on this.
okay,
In 2 weeks, we have 2 weeks or so, we have a regular meeting and I'll update you on that one.
Okay.
When that happens.
any questions for John? Okay, so we'll definitely get that distributed,
Thank you, Steve.
get familiar with what the Conservation Commission's role is on the various tasks.
Yeah,
Move forward.
If
And
we
put
could-
it on the next. few
Absolutely.
agendas.
Mhm. Yep.
yeah, we can just maybe spend 15 minutes on it at a time with the Conservation Commission
Sure.
to fully understand.
We could even pick a topic like one of those bullet points for that
Sure,
discussion
sure.
point.
Okay,
Okay, you and I can work on.
all right,
getting
I'll
that
keep you in
right.
the loop and
Perfect,
Eric and I again will get the link and send it out to everybody.
excellent.
If they haven't already got involved.
Do you have the link right there?
To the
Yeah.
master plan?
Yeah.
On our website, if you go to the planning board. You'll see a link to it. Under boards and committees. Planning board, master plan 2022.
There it is, right there.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Do they have hard copies already printed, Steve? Do you know?
I'll get you one, Cindy.
Yeah, I would rather. Anybody else want a hard copy?
It's 153 pages.
That's why I'm not printing it. I'd rather have a hard copy anyway.
You know what I'll do is I'll just print section 8.
8, okay, good. That'll be good. Well, I can print section 8 because it can't be that long.
Now,
Could it?
yes,
Probably 30 pages.
All right, we can have them printed upstairs.
Yeah.
I mean, I just printed, never mind.
anybody
Yeah.
else want to,
No.
we're good? I'll get it for you, Cindy. I like, yeah. like to do this
That's me.
Right on and make my notes and.
Yep.
Okay,
Sorry, I'm old.
Perfect.
thanks, everyone. for
Thank
your-
you, John.
for your moment.
All right, let's move on to old business. Item 5. So we'll start with the salt management informational brochure. So Jenny,
Yeah,
how's that going?
that's good. I have a draft of a letter. I don't have a draft of a brochure. I have a draft of a letter. I think we had talked about that we can potentially send to condo associations or landscaping companies. And I ran into an interesting thing because I mentioned the Green Snow Pro, commercial Green Snow Pro certification, which is a New Hampshire thing, limits liability and blah, 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 blah. And then on the Green Snow Pro website on, I don't know if it's DES or DPW, whoever runs it for the state. You can link to a list of providers that are Green Snow Pro certified. And well, what do you know? Will Lambert, Three Lakes, they're all Green Snow Pro. So I'm like, how do their practices now differ from what they
Yeah,
did before
really.
they were? So I just kind of ran into that little snag, which I thought was interesting. So I wanted to maybe, I'm friends with Will a little bit, so I wanted to maybe reach out to him
That's a good idea. I think.
just to see, hey, I noticed that you're like, what's that all about?
Yeah,
You know, type of
are those
thing.
practices
And-
being deployed here or is
Yeah.
it somewhere else or?
But I will circulate the draft that I have and maybe then we can figure out how, I don't really know how to condense like. Use less salt into a brochure, like it's a lot of information. I
It
don't-
is.
But we can figure it out.
Yeah.
sure.
Just some
it's
key
just like a
points
little
too.
thing.
Like
to
even
the
if they're just
mailer.
points, we can.
Yeah.
some Poignant
I'm working on it.
tips. Okay, excellent.
Mhm.
Eric, let's do the Snows Brook remediation project. If there's any update from
Now, the
Rick.
last we heard from Rick Vanderpool is that he's waiting for the end of summer.
Mhm.
He's also waiting for one more permit from the Forest Service. I'm hoping this is not a glitch.
Okay.
One more permit. Does everybody know what we're talking about? The
They
Snowsbrook
probably-
mitigation? Do you know?
Kind
what
of
it
discussed
is?
it last time.
Yeah.
It was about the using the forest and the natural channelization that already exists to kind of distribute the sediment across the natural floodplain.
Yeah.
Using those channels and freeing up those channels and moving the flow through them.
Yeah, so this would alleviate the
Sedimentation.
burden, yeah, the sediment going into Corcoran Pond.
They go up, the river, what is it, Brook?
Snow.
Snowsbrook
Yeah.
River or a stream, they go up about a mile or 2 miles.
I
They
would
go
too.
up quite a ways,
It's a ways.
mile at least.
It's where the old logging
And what
was.
they'll do is they'll use resources that are right there on the trails, branches or dead trees they'll cut down. And they place them such a way in the river that it flows the water over onto the bankings and gets the sediment there rather than rushing it down the stream and all the way into the pond. That's
So
kind of
it
what,
screens a lot of the debris.
Yep.
Filters the sand, whatever. Minimizes the amount that goes into our pond. And,
The idea is to divert the sediment
That we're-
Right.
yeah.
into the floodplain and
Yeah.
out of the river.
Right.
yeah,
So, 2 questions. Have you heard or been in touch with Rick, like, since our last meeting?
yeah. since I
Okay,
had-
and
no.
secondly, do you know, what is the extent of the revised, reduced plan for the summer, given the limited funding? We know what it is he's gonna try to do in late summer this year?
he's gonna do the same thing, but I don't think
Yeah.
he's gonna go up as far. Cause they usually go a couple miles up.
He did review what.
Yeah.
I forget now, I'd have to
Yeah.
look back at the minutes, but he did specify what the reduction, what
Okay.
the new steps, not new
Okay.
steps, but what the reduced action plan would be. But I
It might
forget.
be culvert too, you know, not
Well,
doing
yeah.
a certain culvert.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, okay.
Right. So this was from end of April. He's been waiting to hear back from Horizons Engineering. Apparently the bundling of the permits for the stream work and pond excavation work is taking some extra time. Let's see, next week, he was hoping to hear from them 2 weeks ago. Then he'll have some news about the permit, which he wants to get in as soon as possible. His plan, of course, is to use the low water time of year. That means end of August, early September to do the work. So hopefully everything will be in order by then. I'll reach out to him.
But
in-
you said something about permits for the pond. We're not doing the pond.
I think she meant
This-
the,
What I meant was, Horizons Engineering and seeing where they are. Yeah, so the bundling of the permits for the stream work is taking some time, so he is
for the street,
waiting
Okay, okay.
not
for
for
the
the-
stream, not the pond.
Well,
Yeah,
there's
'cause
one
we're not
place
doing the
where it's
pond.
going to actually cut through the bank and open up an old channel that'll allow the overflow
To
to
go
pour
into-
Go
down
in, yeah.
into our green belt.
Into
Yep.
the
That would be good.
wetlands
Yeah.
area, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Yes,
If anybody wants to go for a walk, we
I
could
was-
do this. I wouldn't recommend it until the black flies die down.
Agreed.
they're not out
They're not out
today.
yet, but when they
They're not
are,
out
it's a
today,
pretty
they're
rural
out.
area.
Yes,
to
it is a
investigate.
nice
But
breeze.
I can
out.
show, I mean, I went with Rick the one time and it's very, it's once you see it, it's very obvious like what's going to happen. It's very interesting and it's like
Yeah.
kind of, I don't know if it's called cutting edge work, but it's like on the,
Cutting edge.
it's on the forefront
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Innovation,
Yeah.
you know, it's a good,
Right,
it's a-
Double entendre, yes, very
Yeah.
good.
So-
Yeah,
Okay,
yes, he's done this sort of work before, I think at Tin Mountain. We trust him.
Yep.
He's the author of our NRI, the Natural Resource Inventory, which we'll put that on the agenda for next year.
okay.
'Cause I think every 5-ish years, we need to redo it.
Okay,
So maybe on the next agenda, we can review the recommendations that he wrote 5 years ago. Make sure that we're almost up to date.
Mhm. Yep.
I think you got a copy of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the last few pages are where he writes the recommendations. That's where you can focus. The rest of it is jargon and a lot of details, yeah.
When I was looking at it, I was like.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Like a third of this makes sense.
Right. But then when you read the final,
Yeah.
it does make sense. Okay. Good.
Thank you, Erin.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the website and mission statement. I guess Jenny and I will do that. Jenny, why don't you go first? You had published
Yeah.
all these
I sent
amazing
you-
websites that you
Yeah,
found.
I sent you the email. That's all the information I have. I really think Dorchester knocks it out of the park. It's just so simple and pretty. And hopefully, I don't know who we have doing our town updates this fall or whenever it's supposed to take place, but hopefully. Hopefully they're
Yeah.
looking to
Right.
Yeah,
make it more attractive. But
So-
it seems like the vast majority of towns use the exact same
Hmm.
program or whatever that we have. Like you go on, they're kind of all the same version, but with different
Mhm.
exactly.
words.
But there were some interesting things that you pointed out, the pictures and things.
Yeah, I love
Which-
the idea of putting pictures on our page and just getting rid of all the, just decluttering it. Like, I don't think we need all the grids. I don't think we need banners that are on the homepage of
Yeah.
the town website, also on the conservation page. And I don't think we need town staff on the conservation page. I don't think we
Yeah.
need a calendar. We only have one meeting a month and that can just be, I just think we can
Mhm.
make it. a
But they're
lot
having the links to
easier.
the meeting minutes and things is useful.
Yeah.
And ongoing projects
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Probably. And then I think also some photos of some of the scenic areas that we have
Great.
would be good.
Mhm.
So, I did take a look at the RSA
Oh,
thing
yeah.
with the Conservation
A
Commission.
bunch of commissions do have it like written out and then some just say, by the authority vested. in,
Right. And the point of, I guess, looking at this was to see kind of, as we develop sort of a mission, we saw like what some of them wrote already, but some of the wording that's even in here can help us in that
the
regard.
mission statement.
So maybe I'll send, or it's easy to link to this, but I can just send you a copy of this as well. And this will help you help understand, also give us ideas for like where those photos should come from. And the type of work that the commission actually does in terms of inventorying the different parcels of land and so on. So that gives us some ideas of like the Greenway, for example, photos of that.
Greenbelt.
Greenbelt focused, just like these types of things, the 13.5 acres thing, so I think we can come up
Oh,
with some nice.
Speaking of 13.5 acres.
Hmm.
I was talking to somebody and it was mentioned that maybe we should name that at some sort of a name for David Britton.
Mhm.
Yeah, can
Or
we
however,
defer that and
Yeah, put it on the agenda.
let's,
Yeah.
I looked at that also regarding a mission statement, and I was looking at the same websites, and there were some things that were really, I think, key. And so it states, charged with identifying and protecting the natural resources in the municipality. That's really key, or that the only local body specifically charged with doing so, or an advisory body to advise the select board, planning board, and DES if appropriate. And we're responsible for natural resource inventory and to educate the public and inform town decisions. They're really good items in that page.
Yes,
And it shouldn't be too hard to put together a little paragraph that would essentially summarize that.
or bullet points, maybe?
No, it should be mission
Just
should be
statements.
a
Mission statements are
statement.
statements. They're not bullet points. Yeah.
Okay,
But those are really good, and it's often, it helps me to see that, to remind me of what it is we're supposed to be doing here.
Yeah.
And what it is we're responsible for.
Yeah.
And I really like that. That was the,
Which town was that?
that was out of the New Hampshire Association of
this is-
Conservation
Oh.
Commission.
yeah,
yeah.
Okay.
exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. It's,
Yeah, and it was really useful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually pulling it from the RSA
this one right here, yep.
1963, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
But so we can try to come up with a
absolutely,
statement for next.
let's do that. Yep. That sounds good. And I think, I don't know, Steve's not here, I could talk to him and ask him when they're gonna do the overhaul of the town website, and we could try to coordinate it so that our updates go into that new format as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, not until summertime.
I have a question for Jenny and Charles. So as you look at other towns to try and get some ideas. Waterville is really a very different and unique town because it's a ski resort. And I'm sure you put that in consideration, but what changes did you see or differences did you see? Anything, or is it really that important to think about?
I mean,
Not really.
I don't know. I just, like I said in my email, I looked at towns that are near us so that they're kind of all in the mountains. They all, all have
Got it.
maybe the same issues.
Got it.
And I just that's just where I focused. But
Okay.
Lincoln, interestingly, doesn't have a conservation commission, which I found
There-
fascinating.
Yeah, they're a mess.
So I was
didn't
like,
know.
'cause that
Well,
was,
given their history, I mean.
yeah, so that was
their
interesting to me,
origins.
but.
Oh,
Wow,
And then there are all the lake communities,
Mhm.
they have their own set of
Yeah.
issues that are a
Right.
little more intense, focused
Yeah.
on the lake and
Lakes, yeah.
water and all stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone's kind of got their own little.
Yeah.
That's kind of what we're doing, so we'll keep that effort going, plugging away.
I'm just gonna look it up.
well,
You wanna see? it?
Just, I'm curious, John, were you thinking that we're sort of we're distinct in many ways because we're both the community and a ski resort. And there are always challenges of having those two parties work smoothly with each other.
Right, right.
And the question is, should our Conservation Commission mission statement somehow reference importance of, I don't know, collaborating, communicating with the ski resort? Interesting idea. I'd have to think that one through, but was that what you were wondering about?
Yeah, just as we're doing now, we're just thinking about
Yeah,
what to do, how to place it, but yes. So
Okay.
as time goes on, we'll think more and deep about it, but the mission statement is really important.
okay.
All right.
Is there a reason for us not to adopt the one by the NHACC? Do we need to have a unique and different worded one. I don't know if we have to,
I didn't see an actual mission statement.
Yeah, there's like,
There
there
is.
are some things in there like that kind of default, but most of them seem to rely a lot on that language.
Mhm.
They're all pretty similar in that
Yeah,
respect.
let's
so-
not make extra work. for
Yeah, we could,
ourselves.
we could put our own little twist on it, I guess.
Yeah.
Not too much. So,
Well,
all right, anything else on that topic? All right, so let's move into the new business. So Mark is not here, but he was coordinating with the select board to get another slate of alternates for us to have more alternates than what is usually there.
Mhm.
Usually there's like 2 alternates, but I think he was gonna see if we could get more. I don't know, I could talk to him and ask him what he's come up with, but
Okay.
that was kind of the idea to,
Okay.
but the idea being that it's awesome that everybody's interested in contributing to the Conservation Commission, so we want to make sure we encourage that and have as many alternates as
Mhm.
want to be alternates, so
Right,
that's kind of the plan, so
Yeah.
I'll talk to Mark again, I'll follow up with him again
all right.
about that,
And wasn't there a open board position too, member position?
there's not right now.
I looked this up actually a month ago. The state section 36A of,
Mhm.
that describes conservation commissions. And there's a section on composition of commission. And it specifies that the commission shall consist of not less than 3 nor more than 7 members as determined by the local, i.e. the local legislative body. Actually, a couple months ago, I wondered if we might consider increasing our number. We're currently 5. If we wanted to go more, we could go as high as 7. Maybe we don't need to. I'm glad we're not 3. It doesn't actually specify how many alternates there may be. It does say that if the board, our commission, excuse me, is appointed by the select board, there's an option for towns to hold elections. We have not, as a town, opted to do that. It does say that if the commission is elected, then alternates may be appointed by the commission, in which case the commission now takes the
Yeah.
responsibility, because they're already elected people. We're not elected, so it's appointed by the select board and not us. And it doesn't really indicate anywhere that I found. It says if it's an elected commission and the commission is appointing its alternates, it can appoint as many alternates as there are number of positions on the commission,
Mhm.
which would be pretty extreme. But it looks to me like in terms of the writing, we and the select board are free to appoint as many alternates
Mhm.
as they
As we
wish.
have members.
As members, and
Yeah.
I would say realistically, 3 or 4, I mean, is a good number.
I think we're there now. you know?
We're already currently at 4. And what I think we do need, there are no guidelines as to when when one of the members is absent. What the process is for a given meeting, who among the alternates takes over. And
That would be up to the chair,
is it,
Yeah.
and that's reasonable, I guess.
yes. He could
You
appoint,
have the power.
It actually doesn't say. It doesn't say.
So
Usually done on a
Okay.
rotation
So I will,
basis if it's.
follow up with Mark and see if he made any progress on that
Okay.
aspect with talking to the select board. Obviously, we can do our appointing and then
Yeah.
if the select board's okay with it
Mhm.
already, then we'll just go ahead and appoint probably at the next meeting, you have to be sworn in. at some point.
There's also an initiation ceremony.
There's just.
And Jenna,
rituals that
There's
we
a
have.
firewalk too. Okay.
All right, there was one more, oh, that's it. Other business, is there anything else that?
me,
Oh,
There's
Okay.
there's
Okay,
Cindy.
she's got a handout.
You
okay.
wanna go on privilege of the floor, or you wanna go here?
I'm gonna give you guys some information that I have researched, some new fertilizer regulations. Also, the other thing that I get concerned about is the water,
Mhm,
municipal water.
mhm.
So I've printed out a bunch of these to give to everybody to kind of look at, review them and see. I also went through some towns and have those. Hold on for a second, I've got my paper clips all screwed up.
You want me to pass those out? when
Yeah,
you
would
talk?
you?
Yeah.
The other thing I found was that the town of Waterville we've been on a list for, did I bring it? Thanks. Oh, this is your stuff. The state has a list for
The state.
people who are on a drought situation for mandatory regulation. Some of the towns aren't, get to the bottom line where Waterville is, we are, believe it or not. But the thing that concerns me about the Waterville thing is that we've got homes here and condo associations where nobody is here to regulate.
Right.
That those sprinkler systems are set at a certain time, and we've all seen proof of that with Green
Green
Peaks
tea, yeah.
last year and the year before, and some of the houses. And that is first and foremost, it's our drinking water.
Mhm.
Secondly, God forbid we get back into a drought situation where these things are going on full stream.
Mhm.
And thirdly, there should be a different pricing situation for those people that do have
Mhm.
the sprinkler systems. So I just printed stuff out for you to read.
Okay.
The thing that's interesting about fertilizers is quite interesting about runoff, especially
Oh, yeah.
from into drainage systems, et cetera, which goes into our streams and whatnot. So I just printed that stuff out so you could all take a look.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Cindy.
This is your.
Okay,
Did you want
highlighted
to follow up
copy.
item?
yeah,
on
that's
the-
me. That's my highlighted
Do you
one.
want a follow-up item on the next agenda for this?
Why don't we just put it down for input from your readings?
Mhm.
Okay,
I can bring in the towns. I printed Rye. I printed out a few towns, what their water irrigation thing is. It's pretty basic, but I can bring them in if you want to peruse them and look at them. I just didn't want to print everything out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So the key things we're looking at in all of this
fertilizer,
would be use of fertilizer and lawn watering, sprinkling.
that's it.
And what other towns have done.
Well, I didn't, I have copies of
Yeah,
it. I didn't
okay.
want to print everything out.
Right. Yeah.
But basically, there are rules and regs,
Yeah.
and we are new to this. I mean, my complaint has been forever, we
Yeah.
are not suburbia. We
Right.
live in the woods. I've had my house here for X number of years, 30 years, let's say. I don't have a sprinkler system.
Mhm.
My lawn, if it dies, it's gonna grow back.
Mhm.
It just reseeds itself, and when it rains,
Right.
it comes back.
Right.
I'm just not a firm believer of sprinkler systems, especially where we have wells that are dependent on rain,
Yep.
et cetera.
Yep.
And the usage, we all know, has gone up in the town with the population
Oh,
growth.
yep.
And we've had our issues, we're gonna say.
Yes.
I'm just
let's
not,
ban them, let's.
it should never have been,
Yeah.
it should never have gone.
Yeah,
agree.
the way, yeah.
You know, it just.
Yeah.
And fertilizer, I'm very much phosphorus and that, just not good. I do organic everything at my house. Fertilizers, just
Yeah.
basic organic stuff.
The topics have come up in town over over 5 years now. Anything been done?
No,
And
never.
who do we speak to?
You know, it should have been
Well, that's-
code
it goes back to
code
your
enforcement,
mention.
correct?
Oh, really?
Steve, speak to Paul.
It should start here and then
It should
It should
start
start
here.
here.
we
Yeah.
put pressure on the various organizations.
Yeah, well, we're a day late and a dollar
Well,
short,
we
so
have
we
to
have a
put
few
Put
things.
pressure on the select board,
Yeah.
because they're the ones that apparently can speak to enforcement.
Yeah.
But that's another question altogether.
Right, but it's easier for them to do that if they have strong wording
Right.
from the
From us,
Conservation
right.
Commission.
Okay,
And this is what we need to work up to, both fertilizers and the sprinkler systems for sure.
yeah,
We're not doing our community any
any
good
good. No.
Yeah,
at
I think-
all.
I think if the board would wanna propose some type of a water ban,
Do you know, Steve, it's already in the state that this is a town that moderates that stuff.
Yeah.
One of the few in the state of New Hampshire, and we don't.
yeah, I think it would be appropriate for the Conservation Commission to make that recommendation to the select board.
Yes,
Mhm.
right, directly, yeah. But it's already on the list, yet we're not enforcing it. That's basically what you're saying.
Well, and,
No, it's
and,
not.
and
No?
I don't mean to beat a dead horse, but, or dead whatever. The fact is that we have repeatedly recommended monitoring and charging them different,
Mhm.
and it's been a few years and
Yeah.
we've done this and we've done this and nothing has occurred.
Right,
And it seems to be put on the back burner.
yeah.
And last year we had a really dry season
Mhm.
and I was concerned about our wells.
Yes,
Like I said, our
Yeah.
population has so increased
Yeah.
and the usage of toilets and showers
Yeah.
and washing machines and everything.
Yeah.
On top of sprinkler systems.
right.
It's even more concerning than that the Ray Center's water is like gallons a day,
Yes.
like
Oh.
gallons.
Agreed,
I don't know how many gallons, but there's a 5 gallon bucket that's
agreed.
overflowing.
That's why they had that container there.
Mhm.
I don't know.
So is this fertilizer and pesticides and sprinklers or just
Pesticides and-
fertilizers?
I didn't get into pesticides. I probably should have because I'm also a proponent of not using chemical pesticides. I mean, I mix up my own concoctions.
Yeah.
I just go online and search out
Mhm.
things. My weed killer is vinegar, Epsom salt, and Dawn dish detergent
Right.
in a big thing, and I go around and get my dandelions if I
Mhm.
want them.
Right,
You know, it's just, we don't need the other stuff.
So,
And it's
Cindy-
harmful for you too, anybody.
so Cindy, can I make a suggestion?
Yes,
Why don't you and I
okay,
plan to go to the select board June 4, I believe, there,
that's good, because I've got 2 graduations.
and we'll be privilege of the floor.
Okay,
So we'll go on first.
Okay.
and You get up and talk and I'll stand right there with you.
well, the thing is that no action has been taken.
Well, I think we gotta keep
Enforcement.
yapping at them.
And
Yeah,
I think it's to come up with like, this is what we want to see.
Yeah.
Because it seems like when things are like, we would like some action taken.
Mhm.
They're like, okay, great, we'll think about that some other time when we have time, but if you, and I'd be happy to help with this.
well, especially
too.
where you complained
Yeah.
about that water situation over there that's
Yeah.
going nonstop.
Yeah,
From an organizational perspective, it
Mhm.
seems to me that if we want to try to put some effective pressure on the select board to take action, to do something, to enforce something, it should be coming from a deliberated session of this
Mhm.
public meeting where we have determined that we are going to advise the select board to do this, this, and this. And then that gets presented to the select
Here's a
board.
formal advisory note.
Yeah.
And the select board then can use that.
Mhm.
They need that
Mhm.
to assist them in making decisions and enforcing, that they are doing so on the recommendation of an approved
Mhm.
commission decision.
That's why I gave you the handouts. Go over, look at them,
Right.
see what the recommendations are,
Yep.
the state of
And-
New
and
Hampshire
if-
environmental.
If individuals wish to go, like on the June 4th or something,
Mhm,
so much the better. But it'll
absolutely.
hold more clout if it's actually
Yeah.
a deliberated session.
Yep.
yeah, that's what I was
Agreed.
getting at, just to
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
here's what we
Right.
want to be
But
seen.
however, we're not going to meet again as a committee before that.
It's been going on for years, and so we'll
Yeah.
get to it as we can. Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to extend the meeting right now?
Well, another thing we could do is, we could go, a few of us here could go on the 4th, bring it to their attention and let them know what our intentions are for their next,
Sure.
our next
Yeah,
meeting by putting
Okay.
a letter together to
We can do
recommend.
that.
Or we
I-
could just send them a letter. We could
Either
send the
way.
select board a letter and explain
I'd
what
rather
our,
go
what our
physically.
priorities are gonna be.
I think if we
I'd
go,
like to go
We'll go
physically
yeah,
as well,
physically,
because that's on camera
Okay.
yeah,
and
everyone
it's in
knows.
the minutes.
yeah,
I mean, if this is an issue that the commission feels strongly about, then,
Yes.
I do.
We do.
We do,
okay.
Yeah.
And
I
worth
do.
pursuing. then we can-
ongoing,
Okay.
It's been way too long.
yeah.
It should never have happened.
right.
Right.
The board has tasked Dylan and I with coming up with some type of a financial impact for folks that have water irrigation systems. The thing that Dylan and I are discussing now is there some type of a grandfathered
Mm.
clause that they can point back to say, I've had this irrigation system at my property for 10 years and now you're all of a sudden gonna be assessing me a fee?
Mhm.
Cause that's gonna be the scenario in
You're right.
all of the
Yeah,
instances that we have currently.
right.
And with the lack of future development in this town, you know, what kind of a, if that grandfathered clause holds any weight, you know, is this exercise truly worthwhile?
Right.
If the effort is to reduce the water usage, I think a water ban type of a scenario would be more fruitful
Mm-hmm.
than an ancillary fee that could potentially not even come to.
Right.
You know, so that's kind of where we're at.
Okay. That might work,
Helpful.
using the existing state law.
Okay.
as a-
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, there is that new, especially the new state law about fertilizer that just came out in 25. So that's really updated. I searched for anything more current with the watering system, but I couldn't find anything.
And I'm assuming that your fertilizer, pesticide, it also applies to herbicide as well. So these
Well,
items
I
are all
think so.
intertwined.
yeah,
So when we're reviewing this, we can have those,
Yep,
those three things in mind, the
Yes.
fertilizer, the herbicide and the pesticide.
okay.
All right. So we'll have a little bit of homework then.
Mhm.
Agreed. Okay. Anything else, Cindy?
Nope, I'm
Okay.
done. My spiel.
All right, well, let's move on to privilege of the floor. Is there anybody for privilege of the floor? I don't see anybody.
Anybody online? Nobody.
Okay, let's go on to the next meeting. We do have alternates, so I assume, so unless there's. Yeah, it's June 26th.
Mhm.
Is that okay with everyone?
No. Hold on,
I think it
No.
is.
we may have to miss it. We have family coming.
We might have to appoint two
We'll
alternates.
bring them.
Yeah, they could be in the public.
Yeah.
session.
Mm.
There is a meeting in this room on the 26th at 2 p.m.
Oh,
So you know.
that's not
So
gonna give us
that's
much
not gonna
time.
It's not too much.
What
Do you want-
happened
Do you
to,
want-
I mentioned this in my email, to a regular time
Yeah.
that's set aside for the Conservation Commission?
Yeah, didn't we used to have
It used to be Tuesday.
Tuesday?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
At
it was
1
Tuesday
PM?
for a while.
I believe so.
Is
Okay.
that time like,
I know that started to conflict with the town core working group. They have a
Oh,
12:30.
remember that?
Yeah. There's so many.
But I'd be open to any.
Do you want to go for noon on that day? The 26th?
noon?
And then we could work on this Tuesday thing if we could do that.
Well, no,
Yeah, if
not
you,
the-
I don't know
12
who
noon?
Is
who
that okay?
upstairs would be responsible for
12 o'clock.
letting us know like what is a time that would work once a month,
Mm.
Unless you
a
guys.
consistent day and time.
Like, I could be
Okay, so we're
Fine
we're
with the
scheduled
following
though
week,
for the 26th
you're-
at 12?
pressured to do
Noon, yeah.
things and.
Okay.
Mm.
I will not be here then, so if you guys aren't here, will
They'll be
three
appointed.
of you
Yeah,
make sure the other alternates are?
yeah.
We need you alternates.
So
No, no,
Should be, I'm not sure.
we wanted to keep it on the monthly
If
schedule.
there's a
for you?
conflict and we don't, maybe we can reschedule. If he
it's
keeps,
okay
you
to
know,
reschedule.
Okay.
I'm-
So why don't we set it for right now at the 26th of noon, and if people feel strongly against that, we can reschedule it. As we get closer, is that fine?
Right.
Sounds fine.
You know what you could
Okay.
do too? You can send out an email.
Hmm.
A week ahead.
Yep.
And see, it's a summer schedule. See
Yep.
if you have enough
Exactly.
for quorum.
Mhm.
That way you're not waiting till that date to
Right.
see who shows up and who
Yep.
doesn't.
Exactly. Okay,
Quorum is 3.
True.
all right. So I think with that, we have one more agenda item. It's gonna be quick, but it's gonna be non-public session.
Okay.
So,
Oh, yes.
can I get a motion to go into non-public session? Do we need one? to
Make a
go?
motion to go into non-public.